Detective Comics 1053, Mariko Tamaki writing with Max Rayner on the art, next part of this tower, and the Uncut Gems comparison I feel just ramped up significantly as Dr. Ware here is trying to borrow more money from Penguin so he can pay off more people whilst being jumped in the street by the clown the party smashers. That's what they're called.
Party crashers.
Yeah. Party crashers. Yes.
Their design's really bugging me because I know they're supposed to be clown-esque, right? And it's Joker colors, but with the clunky, the bulky suits, that just reminds me more of Lex suits.
Yep.
And it's really jarring because my brain keeps seeing them and goes, "Oh, that's like Lex knockoff suits." But and then I have to pause and reconfigure my brain every time. I go, "No, they're nothing to do with Lex."
Yeah. No, I was into kind of like more of like the Ware stuff unraveling early on here. So it's some of the party crashers, he's bailing them out. He's sending his own lawyer to get them out as he's borrowing money from Penguin. It really does just continue that feeling of everything spiraling out of control as he's desperately trying to hold on.
It stresses me out just like Uncut Gems did. And I cared way more about Sandler's character, right, than I do Ware. But this still, I'm just like, why is he doing this? They can't be worth this amount of headache.
And in the middle of all this, he gets a call saying that one of the nurses or whoever are going to like rat out that like all this is a bullshit and that no one's cured. So he gets a party crasher to go to her house and like threaten her.
And it works. She gets saved by Cass, but she's still too scared to then come forward to death after that.
Yeah. And great big panel of Cass swooping in to save her, actually, I thought. Proper
really good.
Old school looking Cass Batgirl stuff. So no, yeah, like the first half of the issue is really solid in that. And we have the team talking in their sort of temporary cave. We got Nightwing inside, sort of getting the scoop and trying to figure out what's going on. He's talking
flirting with all the ladies to get the info.
Yes. They're calling him cutie and stuff. Do you know
it's very classic Nightwing, though, isn't it?
I laughed hysterically that he puts on like a lab coat, walks into a room, and the nurse just calls him doctor. It just really made me laugh.
Yeah,
because it's not like that's his cover. Because you see him like he's just doing like a
janitor, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing janitor work before, and then he just puts on a lab coat, and all of a sudden someone just assumes he's a doctor, and I'm like,
lab coat and a clipboard does it all.
Yeah. So yeah, he goes to see Nero 19 and tries to figure out how to beat him up, and he actually he's like, these injuries seem consistent with someone I know.
I like that the nurse goes, I think it looks like someone was using him as a bowling ball. And I love that that's where he goes, okay, I know this work.
Yeah.
And he goes find Helena.
And obviously none of these characters remember the big fight, right, that happened. So he goes to her and basically when, asking, do you remember a fight? Do you remember anything happening? He notices the blood on the floor and it leads to that thing we saw at the end of the last issue, which is his hold is breaking, written in blood. The only slight nitpick I have with it is he says it's in her handwriting. And maybe this is just me, but I feel like if I was smearing like a liquid to write something on the floor,
it wouldn't match.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my handwriting, like when I'm writing something with a pen.
Yeah, and I know that's from having to sign for stuff at work, and they hand you the digital.
Yeah.
To sign. I've gotten a little bit better, but it still looks like I've had a seizure mid.
Oh yeah, it's like nothing like my actual signature.
I would say having written things in like
blood,
paint, very specifically paint. I made that very clear. It was paint for legal purposes. It was definitely paint. It's a lot easier to write in your handwriting in paint on a physical thing than it is on those digital screens because it's the calibration on those.
Oh
screens
sure, but Matt brought it up as an example, but I would say that having also written things in paint or something similar, I don't feel like when you're writing something that big using your whole hand, it's the same as your actual handwriting. I don't think it is. But either way, it's like because I minor nitpick. It was just something that stuck out to me. So I don't feel like it would match her regular handwriting, unless she does this a lot, where she just smears big giant letters.
I wouldn't put it past her. It is Huntress.
She gets bored, and she's like, "Where's some of that villain blood?"
She just leaves messages to the police at the crime scene, going, "Here you go, doing you a favor."
Yeah, but obviously this is enough. Like this hold is breaking is enough for them to like jump to the conclusion that there's some mind control or something going on. So Babs is looking up various possible candidates. You see the Sparrow and Gorilla Grodd, and I think that's Maxwell Lord.
Max Lord, yeah.
On the screens. I also really dig the other villains like taking the piss out of this fake Harley. It's like she's really laying it on thick with trying to fit the word pudding into her sentence.
And the more they're doing this, I'm starting to think, is this actually Harley?
I think so.
Because at first I was willing to just go, that was funny. But now that they're doing this and bringing it back up she doesn't even look like her. I'm like, okay, this is actually her.
Yeah,
right?
the joke's going to be it's this real Harley pretending to be fake Harley.
Right. So she's laying it on thinking that no one's going to think it's her. And so far it's working. Right?
Yeah. She's basically, she's yelling for some pudding. She's like, is there going to be pudding? I want some pudding. Like, that's what she's yelling.
Also, a weird maybe thing with the I don't know if it's the script or the lettering that I would critique here. But if I was to try and sell this as the Harley Quinn, playing up being Harley Quinn, I'd have done pudding with the apostrophe rather than the G.
I think that's the intentional sort of thing, though, right? Is that she's saying it with the G? She's saying
pudding, not pudding.
Maybe, but I don't know. Like if she was playing it up,
well, that's the point. Though she's getting it wrong.
Oh, Connor, you read the Amanda Conner run, right, of Harley?
I did most of it.
Wasn't there a League of Harleys?
Yes.
So is it possible that she's one of them?
Unlikely. They were more just people who Harley collected and who.
Okay.
It was kind of like the We Are Robin book where there was just like there's a lot of people who were inspired by and kind of took inspiration from it. It was kind of like that more than.
So it wasn't people trying to be her.
They were trying to be Harley in the sense of we're going to be kind of carefree and do our own thing and the lifestyle ethos of Harley.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And fashion choices, obviously.
But no, I got a chuckle out of it. But this makes Nightwing go up to the roof. Cass is going to join him for backup, although she doesn't ever get there because the Batgirls, Batwoman, and all that are all attacked by some party crashers who have found their hideout. So they're actually under fire as Nightwing finally gets to the office of Dr. Ocean and finds Psycho Pirate. And I kind of love just the Psycho Pirate of effing course. The reaction's great. But of course, like, he's on his own, so Psycho Pirate just starts controlling him and making him feel weak and sleepy and whatever else.
It's kind of his shtick.
Yeah.
So, and the rest aren't there to help him. So the cliffhanger, it's quite an effective cliffhanger. Psycho Pirate sort of got his foot on Dick's back and just kind of be like, you're mine, you're weak. So, so they're getting somewhere, they're figuring things out, but it's immediately put them in danger. So that's fun stuff. I had a good time. So.
I like this a lot more than the last few. I feel like this really advanced the plot a good chunk, and I feel like we're actually better paced on this issue than the last few have been for me. Where like we're moving now, and we're propelling into the back half of this story.
Aye, a less whiny opinion, Matt.
I like it.
That was
it's
positive.
Moving.
Screw you.
Yeah, it's moving at a clip. I like right now. Everything's coming together, and again, super stressed out with the stuff with Dr. Ware, just because he has so many plates in the air, balls in the air, spinning plates, whatever. I mix my metaphors, but still the same thing. This is gonna, and we know it's gonna end horribly for him. Oh,
so, sure, yeah. No, I think it's impressive how much of a big cast we have in this story that have all been established now that we can kind of bounce around them, and it's very easy going at this point in the story to shift between them. So yeah, I like some of the things like the party crashers are mad at Ware because they actually think he tipped off the bats because they just don't believe that the bats could have found them on their own. They think someone's talked. So I like those little bits that make sense, even though we saw how they found them in the first place. So it doesn't feel like forced conflict because it actually does make some sense. Especially since these are characters who are not supposed to be like master criminals necessarily. They're they're capable enough, but they're not like geniuses. So I'm digging the story. Art's
art's pretty good.
Yeah, art's. It's nice that they've been kind of consistent in these batches of like 4. So this has been very consistent. The Reese stuff was very consistent.
Yeah.
I think credit to the editorial team for getting it out with enough lead time for those artists to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because that's not an easy task to do with a weekly book.
Not at all, no. So, no, really digging the main story. And then the backup, continuing this kid, the ginger kid, who's now back at Arkham. And once again, we're tying into an event in Batman mythology and Batman history where you don't necessarily get what it is at first. You know, it's like using Arkham, and it could be any random event because like some voice comes over the comms saying, "Hey, this is breakout day. We've taken control of the security. You can all just leave now." The red light comes on, and the kid doesn't want to leave. Clayface is like, "Well, if you don't want to come, then when you do eventually get out, come find me." And then we see Bane. It's Bane breaking out, everyone out of Arkham, which I believe is actually part of the Nightfall storyline. That was something that happens early on in that. So again, really neat. We tied it into the switching of the Robins in the last issue. Here, some time has passed now. We're in Arkham, and now we're at Nightfall. So. Which makes me
think the
kid
seems a little bit older, right? Like
especially Elliot when we see him later on, he's definitely older. So it wouldn't surprise me now if more of these backups are going to like tie into other known events in Batman history, just to sort of give us a timeline.
Well, because in the last one I missed that, right? Was that? Hold on, make sure it's not this one.
Last time was where we saw Jason instead of Dick, and that was already that was kind of the same thing of okay, we're progressing forwards in time.
Yeah, and so he goes, no, it's a different kid, and they all think he's just rambling,
Yeah.
But yeah, so that showed a time. But yeah, I was excited to see Bane show up, just because of what this has been doing with how the villains treat him, right?
Yeah.
How the different and like Bane always has this sense of honor, as long as he's not venomed up. So I was curious to see how this was going to play out, and a lot more brutal than I expected.
I mean, he hands the kid a gun whilst giving him a speech about, becoming stronger and whatnot. And the kid, holds the gun up to a guard. It's a really well done sequence, actually. It's one of my favorite sequences in the backup because it's just like him walking down the hall and there's these guards down halfway down.
Shadows as well.
Yeah. And he holds the gun up and the guard notices him, disarms him, and basically says that, you know what, no one's here and it was you against me and I had to, protect myself kind of thing.
Worth noting as well, I think is important to say, the kid does lower the gun before the guard notices.
Yeah,
he's already not going through with it. Yeah,
he's making the choice to not kill someone, and the guard's going to kill him just sort of in spite because he's going to enjoy it. And in a roundabout way, I guess Zsasz also ends up being someone who helps the kid, although notably Zsasz, unlike every other villain the kid's encountered, is actually going to use him as a victim afterwards. He is going to kill him.
Yeah. And I think that's a distinction on Rosenberg's part too, on like how much worse Zsasz is. Like he's a lot closer to the Joker.
I like seeing Zsasz just add the extra mark there and there. There's no he'll get to it later at the end of the day. Nope,
right there.
Check us. So just right. Okay, I killed him. Time to add another mark.
Yeah, the guard. After he's killed the guard, he slashes his neck a little bit. Yeah.
Well, and I like here he goes, "Lucky I was here, huh?" He goes, "Thank you." Oh no, I didn't mean lucky for you. Because he's just seeing everybody as the next hash mark.
Yeah. And of course, Bane's still there, though. He shows up and doesn't protect him. He just says, this isn't a fair fight. Drop the knife and now you can fight the kid.
Yeah. Hey, kid, you're going to fight a fully grown serial killer adult. All right, go. Man, that's that twisted sense of honor I was talking about.
But at the end of it, he doesn't let Zsasz kill him.
Yeah, no, he still steps in because I mean it would have been really goofy if the kid was able to beat Zsasz, but he does get some nice shots in, and then Bane pulls Zsasz off when he's going to go for the kill, and says, "Hey, your enemies haven't won if you walk away. Walk away and be stronger."
You can only ever lose one fight.
Yeah, so he goes off into the night. He goes out of the city and he's asking around to find Elliot. It turns out, and he finds him and hugs him at the end, and. What's funny though is that he's kind of going against Bane's advice in a way because he doesn't want to stay in Gotham. He doesn't want to become stronger here. He wants to leave and start fresh somewhere else. He just wants to get away from the cancer that is Gotham City. So it is interesting how he is kind of like gaining his own kind of like desire and his own kind of like self respect in a sense as time goes on because he's. Like, obviously, we understand what Bane's saying to him. We understand the lessons that he's teaching about becoming a villain. But it's almost like this kid, no matter what, actually doesn't want to be a villain. Like, he hates Batman, sure, right? And he has that in common with a lot of the villains. And the villains keep trying to take him in between Clayface, Bane, Penguin. But he keeps kind of rejecting it. He keeps trying to move away from it no matter what. So there may actually be kind of a touching story of someone who's just refusing to be part of that.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be on either end. Like, he doesn't like Batman because Batman terrified him. But he also doesn't want to be like the hardcore villains. He's much more at home in the kind of passiveness of like Clayface and even Scarecrow, weirdly.
But even them though, he doesn't want to actually ultimately. I mean, he did as a kid. You know, he went to help Scarecrow. But I think as he's growing up here, he's continually showing this pattern of trying to break away from because he doesn't want to just be another Gotham villain. And I think you can either end this with him finally being the one who breaks away and it can be kind of heartfelt, or the tragedy is that he eventually is broken down and just becomes another villain in Gotham.
I suspect the latter. As much as I would, you tend to root for the happy ending, I think that's kind of feel the point of this story is just Gotham shit, and it just beats people down like this.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it does.
That could be the story. That could be where we're ending up. But yeah, so no, good chapter in the backup as well. So detective. It's just a nice, consistent, solid read every week right now.
Yeah,
it's been a good staple.
It's going to be weird when this goes back to once a month.
I know, as it really is. But it's been this anchor of like every week for the last month and a half. It's been really nice. All right, Matt, what are you going to give the main story?
I'll give the main story an 8.
And the backup?
8.5.
Connor, main story?
Main story 7.5.
And the backup?
8.5.
Yeah, main story for me, I'm happy to go with an 8 myself, and backup I will also give an 8 too. So I'm really good time with this.